One cold, rainy night, a little boy named Rahul sat shivering in a tiny room with a single dim light. His family was poor, but they were rich in love. Rahul's mother, Meena, had a dream for her son. She wanted him to learn English and succeed in life. "Rahul," she whispered as she wrapped a thin blanket around him, "one day you'll speak English so well that the whole world will listen to you." But Rahul didn't believe her. At school, the kids laughed at him. He couldn't speak even one full sentence in English without making mistakes. Every time the teacher asked him to read, his hands shook and words got stuck in his throat. Rahul felt small, like he didn't belong. One evening, as Meena sewed torn clothes to make extra money, Rahul broke down. "Why do I need to learn English, Ma? I'll never be good at it," he cried. Meena stopped sewing and held his hand tightly. "Because, my son," she said with a smile full of warmth, "English is not just a language, it's a key that can open doors to a brighter future. Promise me you won't give up." A promise to his mother. That was all Rahul needed to start his journey. But it wasn't easy. Every morning, he woke up at 5 a.m. and read simple storybooks out loud. The first story he tried to read was about a boy and his dog. It took him 2 weeks to finish just one page, but he didn't stop. He wrote down every new word in a small notebook his father had given him. "Think in English," his teacher had once said. But Rahul didn't understand what that meant. How could he think in a language he barely knew? One day, while helping his mother in the kitchen, Meena asked him, "What do you call this in English?" She pointed to a cup. Rahul hesitated, then said, "Cup." Meena smiled and said, "Yes. Now think of everything you see in English. Start small." And that's what Rahul did. When he walked to school, he named the things he saw in English. Tree, car, dog, road. First it felt silly. His tongue fumbled and he often got the words wrong. But every mistake was a step forward. Mistakes are proof that you're learning, his mother reminded him. Rahul's struggle became his story. At night, he talked to himself in English, pretending he was giving a speech to a big crowd. Sometimes, his little sister laughed at him. "Who are you talking to?" she'd giggle. "The world," Rahul replied with a grin. "One day they'll listen." Months passed, and Rahul began to notice small changes. He no longer froze when the teacher asked him a question. He could read a story without stopping every 5 seconds. And then came the day that changed everything. It was an inter-school competition, and Rahul's teacher asked him to give a speech in English. "Me? Speak in English? In front of everyone?" Rahul's heart raced. He wanted to say no, but then he remembered his promise to his mother. "I'll try," he whispered. The night before the competition, Rahul practiced in front of his family. His words were simple, but they carried power. "When you learn English," he said, "you don't just learn a language. You learn to dream bigger." His father clapped, and his mother's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so proud of you," she said, hugging him tightly. The next day, as Rahul stood on the stage, his hands trembled. But then he looked into the crowd and saw his mother. She was smiling, and her eyes seemed to say, "You can do this." Rahul took a deep breath and began his speech. "I was scared of English," he said, "but I learned that fear is just a wall, and every word you learn is like a brick that breaks that wall. Start small. Speak to yourself. Think in English. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are your best teachers." When he finished, the hall erupted in applause. Rahul couldn't believe it. He had done it. He had spoken in English and people had listened. From that day on, Rahul's life changed. He continued to practice, to dream, and to grow. He started thinking in English naturally, like it was a part of him. And every time he felt like giving up, he remembered his mother's words. English is a key. Don't let go of it. If you want to think in English, remember Rahul's story. Start small. Talk to yourself in English about simple things. Replace your thoughts in your native language with English words. Instead of saying, "I am hungry," say, "I want food." Be like Rahul. Be brave. Take that first step. Speak even if it's hard. Think in English even if it feels strange. The more you do it, the easier it will become. And always remember this: every expert was once a beginner. Don't give up, because your story is waiting to be told, just like Rahul's. If this story inspired you, hit the like button and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs a little motivation today. Remember, you can do it too. Glowing star.